Hey y'all, welcome to Paige's Perspective, where I help you find your inner strength to cope with life. So you hear us a lot saying to feel the feels. I mean, we have our own sticker saying this, but I also have a sticker that I got with a t-shirt a while back that says fuck your feelings. So yeah, it's about balance, but what does that mean? Paige, you tell me to feel my feels, but then you say fuck your feelings. Welcome to our world where Matt and I are walking contradictions, but in reality, we think in gray areas. So we don't swing too far to either side and learned how to regulate our emotions in a healthy way by finding that middle ground. We don't shove our emotions down or ignore them, but we also don't allow them to dictate our actions or dictate our life. So this episode is great for anyone looking to regulate their emotions, or if you find yourself ruminating and feeling stuck in certain emotions. I hope this makes a bit of sense. Sometimes things in my head make sense and they work for me, but it's difficult to articulate sometimes, and I'm working on it. So thank you for your patience. You may have heard people say pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And I agree with this. Life is painful. There will be times when we are harmed, either intentionally or not, and times when we feel uncomfortable. We're going to have uncomfortable, painful emotions. It's how we respond to these emotions that makes the biggest difference in our own mental health. When we encourage people to feel the feels, it means we want you to acknowledge the feeling you have without judgment, but don't sit in it for too long. We acknowledge it, but that doesn't mean we allow it to control us. Yes, anger is telling you something, but what you do with it is what drives change to regulate it. Even if it's justified, we don't need to sit in it for too long because then we're ruminating. Emotions are meant to come and go. We are not meant to sit and overanalyze them. So I mentioned how pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. I'm going to give you some examples here. Think about when you have a stomach bug. It sucks. It's painful. Sometimes you just want to curl up and die, but your mental state can be a powerful tool to help get you through it. You can't take the stomach bug away. Welcome to life, where we don't have as much control in a lot of situations as we think. And being sick is a really good opportunity to see how powerful your mind can be. When I'm in pain from it, I don't sit in the pain and feel sorry for myself because that just makes it a bit worse. It fuels that uncomfortable feeling. Instead, I think of a time when I felt healthy and okay. I use my mind to go back to that time. I focus on my breathing. I don't focus on the pain. I choose to push through with my mind and understand that it's going to pass. It's going to get away. It's going to go away at some point. And feeding into our emotions isn't the best solution. If we're anxious, feeding into it can make it worse. Something I learned a long time ago during my depressive panic state, I learned how to change my thoughts to change my emotions. My anxiety wasn't rational. It didn't make much sense. Even though I knew I felt anxious all the damn time, I knew I didn't have a reason to feel that way. So I learned how to feel the opposite of anxious, which is typically calm. We know what calm feels like, or we wouldn't know what anxious feels like. So I'd cultivate that feeling of being calm when I was anxious. I thought about how it felt to be calm, and it truly helped me become less anxious. And you can do this with any emotion. Let's say you feel tired. Well, you also know what it feels like to feel rested. So tap into that feeling right in the moment when you feel really tired and you want to not feel tired. This is going to balance the emotions. Play around with it. It's actually a really fun exercise. So let's say you are feeling lazy and unproductive. Yep, I'm using the word lazy because I'm lazy about a lot of things sometimes. I'm just going to be real here. You don't want to do anything. Let's say you feel like you don't want to do anything. Instead of sitting in that feeling, acknowledge it and say, hey, yeah, I feel you. I see you. You're there. Then tap into the opposite feeling, which is being productive. You know what that feels like. You know it. You know that it feels nice to be productive. You know how it feels to do things and get them things done because it aligns with your values. And one of my values is, being productive. I like to have a decent environment to live in. So when I feel lazy and want to just keep going down that road of just sitting down and not doing anything, which I will if I don't practice this emotional regulation stuff, many of us will make excuses to stay stuck in the funk. But if we change our thoughts, we can change the funk. When I remind myself to think of how I feel when I'm productive, I usually get off my ass and do something. We live in a culture that went a bit too far on sitting in our emotions for too long. Before that, we were taught not to have emotions. And so we kind of find the middle ground here because it's messed with our mental health by staying stuck in those emotions or going the opposite way. And many of us just don't know how to regulate our emotions because of this. But that's what I'm here for. You know, if you're sad, acknowledge it. Say, hey, I feel you. I know you're there. I'm not burying you, but I'm not allowing you to stick around forever either. Then tap into your happy emotion. Your mood will shift pretty quickly once you dig deep into the emotion. Our thoughts are so powerful. Our feelings, they're powerful as well. But if we're stuck in them, we're ruminating, and that is not healthy over time. It will consume your life. It will have you spiraling so quickly. It may be difficult to climb out. It is possible though. But also, this is not avoiding your feelings either. I'm not telling you to do that at all. There's a balance here, and you will find it and you will figure it out once you start practicing. So I want to get into rumination real quick. What is rumination? It's replaying the same thoughts or emotions over and over without reaching a resolution. It's like being stuck in a mental loop. We obsess over something without taking action to change it. Matt and I do this in certain areas in our private life. Which our life isn't super private because we talk a lot about it on the podcast, but there are still some things that we don't talk about. But still, yes, we do this in certain things in our lives. And I think this is coming at a perfect time, not only for our listeners, because I think a lot of people will benefit from this type of information, but also for ourselves. We like to practice what we preach. So I'm going to get back into this. Key signs of rumination. Constantly replaying past events, like let's say I should have said this, or why did they do that? Or maybe you overanalyze conversations or situations, or maybe you feel stuck in uncomfortable emotions like anger, sadness, regret. Maybe you think about the same problem repeatedly without taking any steps to solve it. So why is this a problem? Well, it doesn't lead to solutions. It just keeps you cycling in the same emotions over and over again. And then it fuels your anxiety or depression or stress because you're reinforcing these negative thought patterns. And then it prevents emotional regulation because you're not allowing the feeling to move through you. So this is different than healthy reflection. So healthy reflection is learning from an experience. You gain some insight and then you move forward. You take action. Rumination is just dwelling on an experience without resolution, and that can just lead to so much emotional distress. So how do you stop ruminating? You recognize when you're stuck. Notice if you're thinking the same thing over and over without progress. Then you're going to interrupt the cycle. You're going to shift your focus to doing something productive, like, get some movement in. Maybe you should journal, maybe read, do something engaging. Get your mind off of it a little bit. Ask yourself, what can I control? If you can't control it, shift your energy elsewhere. Set a time limit for processing. Feel the emotions, but don't live in them. Challenge the thought. I love challenging thoughts. Ask, is this helping me or is it keeping me stuck? Then take action. If it's something you can change, do something about it. If not, practice acceptance and letting it go. Instead of worrying about what could go wrong, you accept the uncertainty and you focus on what you can control. So here's another example of rumination in just everyday life. Replaying a conversation where you feel like you said or did something wrong, even though it's over and done with. So let's talk about overthinking a conversation. Let's say you had a meeting at work, or maybe you had a conversation with a friend or something, and you made a comment that you now worry sounded dumb. Instead of letting it go, you start replaying it in your mind, asking questions like, why did I say that? They probably think I'm clueless. I should have worded it differently. I bet they're talking about me now. And this thought loop can last for hours and sometimes days, which makes you feel super anxious. It might make you feel self-conscious, but in reality, no one else even remembers it. Seriously, only you remember it. So this is a problem because it's going to keep you stuck with self-criticism instead of moving forward and putting it behind you. It magnifies something that's actually really small. It makes it bigger than it actually is. And it doesn't lead to any solution. It's just more overthinking and stress. So how do you break it? reality check. Would I think about it as this much if someone else said it? Probably not, guys. Like, be real. Most of the time when we're talking or having conversations, the other person is really just thinking about themselves and not much about what you're saying anyway. I mean, that's just like kind of natural human nature. Sure, they're going to listen to you and whatnot, but a lot of the times we're really just focusing on what we're saying. That's just how it works. But reframe it. It's over and no one cares as much as I do. Like, it's no one cares. If you reframe this situation, you're like, I mean, do they really care? Probably not, but take action if necessary. So let's say that a real mistake was made and it's something that you really need to own it, but then you move on from it. Otherwise, just let it go. It was probably so irrelevant that nobody even remembered it. And if they did remember it, they're going to forget about it the next day. I tell my daughter this a lot of the times. This is just part of parenting. You know, she kind of thinks about, well, what if they think I look, oh no, she was wearing a shirt that had Moody with a booty on the back of it. It's a great shirt. I love it. I think it's adorable. And she saw a teacher out in public and she's like, oh, the teacher, oh, I'm sure she saw my shirt. And she thought about it. Like, she was really overthinking. And I was like, honey, she didn't see your shirt, first of all. And second of all, if she did, she's going to forget about it in 2 seconds. It's okay. It's just like when I used to think I would walk into a public place and you think, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. They're judging me. They think that I look weird. But do they? And if they do, they may be thinking about it for 5 seconds and then they're going to move on with their day. It just doesn't matter. So another example of rumination in everyday life is overanalyzing why someone hasn't texted you back immediately. So let's say you're waiting for a text response. You send a message to your friend, your spouse, or somebody, and minutes go by, and then maybe an hour, and then there's just still no response. And instead of moving on with your day, your brain starts spinning. Did I say something wrong? Are they mad at me? Maybe they don't like me as much as I thought. They just posted on social media, but they didn't text me back. What does that mean? Should I text them back? You know, what if they forget? And it's like you start replaying past conversations, and you start to look for signs where you may have offended them, and you may even feel anxious, and you might start to feel rejected, and then you're going to start feeling annoyed. And it's all based on assumption, not actual facts. So this is rumination because you're dwelling on a situation that has no immediate resolution. Your thoughts are based on assumptions, not reality, and it creates unnecessary stress and emotional distress over something it's small. It's small. So how do you break it? You have a reality check. Are they actually ignoring me, or could they just be busy? It's probably that they're busy. Reframe it. Not responding immediately doesn't mean they don't care. And then shift your focus. Engage in something productive instead of spiraling. Just move on. You know, just move on. Do something else. Get past those thoughts, because in the moment, it doesn't mean anything in the moment. So just move on. You know, we're way connected these days, and we haven't evolved enough to be so accessible to so many people. So as my kid says, it's not that deep. Even if they do have a problem with you, okay, like what people think about me is none of my business. This is just a thing I don't feed into. I don't care if you don't respond. Honestly, I'm assuming you're busy, and if you have a problem with me, cool. Guess that means I don't really need a response anyway. So this is a whole other topic. Okay, soon, maybe. If I remember, sometimes I forget what I say on these episodes. I would like to do an episode on some irrational anxiety. And I think that this could be really super helpful for many listeners. You know, anxiety is a normal emotion, but if we allow it to consume us, it's going to affect our mental health. So that's just going to be another episode, because I feel like this one that I just did is a bit all over the place, and I could go on and on this topic. So let's just talk about some key takeaways real quick from today. Feel your feelings, but don't let them run the show. Acknowledge them, process them, move forward. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. Life is going to be uncomfortable. There will be discomfort, but feeding into the pain is going to make it worse. So you've got to shift your focus to what you can control. You can cultivate the opposite emotion. If you feel anxious, recall what calm feels like. If you feel lazy, tap into the energy of productivity. Your thoughts shape your emotions, and rumination is not reflection. Replaying past events and overanalyzing keeps you stuck. Instead, challenge these unhelpful thoughts and take action. challenge your thoughts. I love challenging thoughts. We have a big module in our course that actually challenges your thoughts. And I just think it's beautiful. But I have some questions or journal entries that honestly, I would love if you guys could go into the community and have this discussion. I think it would be really empowering and it will help you question some of your thoughts. So I'll include these in the show notes for reference. But question number 1, what emotions have you been sitting in lately and are they serving you? Number 2, if you could cultivate the opposite emotion, what would it be? 3, what thoughts are keeping you stuck? Challenge them. Is it a fact or just a feeling? 4, what is one action you can take today to shift your emotional state? So your emotions are real, guys. Like they're valid, they're there, but they don't have to dictate your reality. Play around with shifting your mindset and see how it changes your day. So that's all I have for this week. Until next time, I'm Paige. Bye.